Montana right to young.
But I think I might be bowing out of this one.
Oh.
I have had to deal with internally and externally too much surrounding Brock bleeping Purdy. The last time Montana's name was evoked, it was, hey, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Brock Purdy might be Joe Montana or Tom Brady, or he might have to settle for being Dak Prescott. Then he instantly had a 3-game losing streak, and everyone regained their sanity, and now we're back, and he's going to win MVP. And I am simply pushing against the narratives that are being pushed elsewhere. Let's have a real discussion. We're having a serious discussion about Brock Purdy versus Joe Montana. But I'm now being attacked by family. You guys know my wife's grandmother. She's been here. She's 90 years old. She lives in California. She texted me this yesterday.
Could not be true.
I swear to God. I love you, but I'm tired of you trashing my quarterback. That's her. She watches every day. She's mad at me.
Great take.
She lives in Northern California. And then this morning I'm doing my podcast, and I'm scrolling Twitter, and I read this. This guy covers the Niners for The Athletic. Brock Purdy is Drew Brees with Lamar Jackson's 10-yard burst. Okay, well then you know what? Then honestly, the Montana comp is unfair to Brock. If he's the most accurate quarterback ever, combined with the most athletic quarterback ever, then what are we even doing?
In the draft,
cancel the season.
Does that guy have a list of 10-yard bursts?
Right. No, he tweeted us. Now he's since deleted the tweets, but he tried to use Brock's spider chart graph from the combine, saying, "Look, same as Lamar's." Guys, we've lost the plot.
Alrighty, so Nick absolutely losing his mind there over Jerry Rice comparing Brock Purdy to Joe Montana, but let's kind of take a look at stats. Of course, the big thing right now, when you look at Brock Purdy and compare him to Joe Montana, is the Super Bowls, right? So Joe Montana, he had some good teams. He had a lot of great players around him, including Jerry Rice, but the 4 Super Bowls is going to be the big one, right? It doesn't really matter what kind of stats Purdy puts up. I mean, he could be at the top of the league every year in quarterback rating, yards per game, completion percentage, touchdowns, a low number of interceptions. He could be leading the league every year in those categories, but, when it comes down to it, by the end of his career, he's going to need to at least be close to Montana in the Super Bowls. Maybe not win 4, but at least be 2 or 3 for it to be a conversation, I think, because that's how quarterbacks are remembered, right? Quarterbacks are not really remembered if they lit up the stat sheet, but they never won any Super Bowls or any championships. So this year Purdy is not there stats wise. He's only got 13 touchdowns, he's got 8 picks. He was kind of up there in the leaders in yards per game, but missing that last game against the Packers kind of dropped him off a little bit. So he's not at the top. He's not up there with those quarterbacks that have played every game this year that are at the top of the league, like the Lamar Jacksons and the Jared Goffs and people like that. But so that's kind of hurting him there in the stat sheet this year. Completion percentage is still pretty good this year, around that 66% mark, but let's take a look career-wise. Now, of course, Purdy's only had, a partial 2022 season, a full 2023 season, and now a somewhat partial 2024 season. But let's look at Purdy versus Montana career so far. And again, this is a very small sample size for Brock Purdy. He's got a 106.3 rating. Joe Montana, for his career, only had a 92.3 rating. So far, Brock has got Montana beat in QBR, or that quarterback rating, by 14 points. So, if Brock can kind of keep this up and continue a career QB rating above the 100 mark, he might win in that category career-wise. We'll kind of see. A lot of years ahead, a lot could happen. If we look at yards per game, Montana only averaged 211 yards per game for his career, so just barely over that 200 mark. Brock Purdy right now is at 236 yards per game, so he's got him beat there as well. Brock Purdy so far, again, small sample size versus Joe Montana's entire career, but 25 more yards per game for Brock Purdy so far. And then Brock has also got Joe beat out on completion percentage so far. So Joe Montana, for his career, had a 63.2% completion percentage. Brock Purdy so far, in this small sample size of a couple years, 67.8% completion percentage. So when you look at a lot of the stats like yards per game, completion percentage, QBR or quarterback rating, Purdy is definitely beating out Joe in those categories, but we'll kind of see if Brock can keep this up, because his first 2 seasons, that partial season in 2022, he lit it up. Last year, teams fairly healthy, lit it up. He was pretty much leading the league in almost every category for quarterbacks, for passing stats. So, this year is definitely a drop-off. That's dragged down his rating a little bit. Dragged down completion percentage. Some things like that have come down this year for Brock Purdy. He's definitely not leading the league in like almost every passing category this year, so it's kind of drug him down a little bit. We'll kind of see. It's going to be very interesting if Brock can maintain kind of what he's done so far and kind of maintain these levels we see right here, because he's probably, if he's healthy, if he continues to play somewhat well, he's probably going to get a fat contract from the 49ers. And if he does, that's really going to take away talent around him. They're not going to be able to keep all of these Avengers and all of these superstars if they give him a huge contract. People are going to go. You might see people like Charvarius Ward gone. You might see people like Deebo Samuel gone. They're not going to be able to pay everybody. Maybe Dre Greenlaw, he's going to be a free agent as well. So, it'll be hard for Brock Purdy. Defensive side of the ball, of course, not so much, but I guess the defense does affect it a little bit, right? If your defense can't get off the freaking field and get a stop and give you the ball back, that can hurt your offensive numbers. If you just let the other team take the ball and have these long drives down the field and keeps the offense off the field, that could affect, how many possessions you get and what kind of stats you can put up as an offense. So that will play into it. So we'll kind of see what happens. What do you think is going to happen with Brock Purdy? We've seen this small sample size, compared to an entire career for Joe Montana. Do you think Brock Purdy is going to maintain a passer rating above 100 for his entire career? Is he going to stay in this range above 230 pass yards per game for his career? Is he going to be able to hang around that 70% completion percentage for his career? Or are we going to see him get a fat contract? Niners are going to lose a lot of players, and then some of these numbers are going to continue to decline and, drop a little bit the next couple years. I want to know what you think about it in the comments section. Appreciate you for taking the time to watch this, and I will talk to you soon.